We're here today at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, all day today, educating students about the political and economic impact of the Trump and Walmart agenda, which, if in case you don't know, destroys our public education, promotes low-wage debt economy, and divides our country. In the last 5 years, the Waltons family, one of the richest families in the world, who also owns Walmart, has funneled an estimated $15 million to the Betsy DeVos Foundation, which seeks to privatize our public schools for a profit. Now, Betsy DeVos is Trump's hand-picked Secretary of Education and continues to push the same anti-public school agenda. It is evident that Walmart aligns with Trump's values when it comes to destroying public education, and Betsy DeVos has been their puppets for years.
There have been a lot of news stories recently that Donald Trump is an independent in major news outlets. We all know that's not true. Donald Trump is a Republican through and through. He's just worse at hiding his contempt for the working class than his colleagues. Republicans in general are only accountable to the hateful and self-serving 1%. We see corporate overreach affecting education, jobs, healthcare, the environment, and the political process. But with the speakers we brought here today, we're standing up for a better, more inclusive future.
We look to our elected leaders, especially our presidents, for leadership on issues like these that are crucial. And our president's record is, as you know, abysmal. With respect to how he treats the women who work for him and how he leads on women's pay, health, and reproductive issues. Soon after his inauguration, Trump told women to dress like women. Those are the women who work for him. In March, he revoked the Fair Pay and Safe Workplaces order, which means companies can now force workers who've been sexually assaulted or harassed to undergo forced arbitration. He's doing his best to defund Planned Parenthood. His Health and Human Services Secretary has said, quote, "There's not one woman in America who is unable to afford contraception." We all know that's a lie. And the president has supported his buddies like Bill O'Reilly and Roger Ailes against the women who suffered sexual harassment in the workplace. Where do these policies and changes come from? Who is Trump listening to? Who is giving him advice on women in the workplace? Last February, Trump began meeting with 2 men to discuss women's workforce issues. And one of those men was Walmart CEO Doug McMillon. There is indeed a Walmart-Trump agenda when it comes to treating workers fairly and to the treatment of women in the marketplace and in the workplace. And it matters because Walmart, as you've heard, employs more people than any other American business.
We stand firmly on the side of workers and the oppressed everywhere. Our commitment is to a democratically owned and run economy where the election of far-right politicians like Trump and his likes is simply impossible. There can be no doubt that the campaign and presidency of Trump has been disastrous for all the people of this country. People of color have faced open violence from white nationalists and bigots of all stripes. Robbing women and LGBTQ plus folks of their hard-fought rights has taken an even more prominent role in the GOP agenda. Our immigrant brothers and sisters, too, have been the subject of increased state violence. Unions, as always, continue to be squarely in the crosshairs of Trump, the Republicans, and the billionaire class.
The idea is cut the public sector because A, it represents an alternative to total reliance on private for-profit firms, which is the ideology of ALEC and the people that back it, is that really an economy, a good economy, must be comprised totally of profit-seeking competitive firms. It also represents a high point of union organization. One of the, it was already mentioned by Anaí that the union level now, or the brother who spoke after her, is 11%, but if you look in the private sector, it's down to 7%. What is it in the public sector? It's about 35%, 5 times higher than in the private sector. So the private sector is a nail that's been hammered down almost to the point, you know, of inefficacy, except in a few places. What's sticking up very high? Public sector unions. They have to be hammered down to the point where they're no more capable of mobilizing people. And above all, in the public sector, the teachers' unions. The National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers are the two biggest unions in this country. And what's more, they're a union that has members in every little community in the nation, right? Not like some unions that are concentrated in a few big cities or in a few regions of the country. Teachers are everywhere. That makes them extremely politically important. And that means for the rights agenda, unions are the biggest organized obstacle standing between them and the realization of that agenda. And they have to be hammered down. They have to be taken apart